COVID has impacted many industries and jobs, including food, travel, even the media industries. When COVID-19 hit pretty hard in 2020, it affected a lot of different things, from production to film releases to streaming services in general. Hello, my name is Jacob Head, and today we'll be examining ways that the media industry has been disrupted during the pandemic. More specifically, we will look at the pandemic's impact on streaming services, such as Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, and other similar platforms. Streaming services have been around for quite a while, and while many people haven't used streaming services as much, a lot of people were watching films on TV or going out to the theaters. But during the pandemic, there's been a huge increase in the use and signups of streaming services. According to an article by Verge, they talk about how there's been an increase of subscription signups and usage between March 14th and 16th of 2020, which was the beginning of social isolation and quarantine here in the US. According to some stats, Warner Media had a 70% increase, Twitch had a 31% increase in growth, and Netflix told Verge that even though they're not releasing any numerical stats, they did inform that they did increase over that time period. According to another article by Screen Rant, statistics show that Netflix between 2019 and 2020, they dropped from 48 to 35% in US subscriptions, while Hulu dropped from 25 to 20% in subscriptions. But CBS All Access increased from 5 to 6%, which is now Paramount Plus, and Disney Plus rose from ground zero to 18%. I mean, it makes sense why these numbers are going up. People are at home doing isolation and quarantine with literally nothing to do. Let's take Disney Plus for example. It was established in November of 2019 and had a library full of a combination of new and original content and old shows that aired previously, claiming to be the one-stop shop for Disney films or TV shows. The reason Disney Plus became so popular was because of the content that was offered on the platform. It provided a way of classics of old TV shows and movies to new and original content. It also provided premium movie premieres on the platform before the actual release. And obviously, COVID-19 is going on. Disney Plus was a way to escape into nostalgia in these old TV shows and movies that was being offered on the platform. I had an opportunity to speak with my good friend Kevin, who had this to say.
Honestly, like during the pandemic, I feel like the streaming platforms were, in essence, a lifesaver, just because of how many people were stuck at home and still are stuck at home, and with theaters being shut down and the bulk of other outlets of entertainment basically being non-existent at the moment. I feel like the streaming platforms gave an outlet for people to hold on to some form of normalcy. Not gonna lie, I'm a little worried that the studio base and distributors are going to hold on to that post pandemic, and I'm a little worried that like theaters and more traditional forms of receiving that entertainment is gonna go away. But I think the streaming services were a blessing, just for everybody.
The pandemic brought a huge impact on streaming services. For one, it brought more competition into the streaming world, causing Netflix to decline in popularity. 2, it reshuffles the order of distribution windows, making streaming services more priority than DVDs or any other distribution platform. It went from being one of the last places to be distributed to now the top one. According to an article with CNN, they talk about how Trolls World Tour was one of the first films during the pandemic to be sent straight to streaming services. Within the first 3 weeks, they earned $100 million, which is 1/3 of their all-time of the first movie, which made $350 million, over the course of several months. According to Timothy Havens and Amanda Lotz, they talk about how film distributors are looking to release some films through streaming services before theaters. I think that's kind of crazy considering this textbook was written way before the pandemic, but yet here we are already making that move. Another impact that streaming services had from the pandemic was the increase of the amount of streaming services and libraries. We had a Paramount Plus, we have Peacock, we have all these brand new streaming services. And not only that, there's a lot of content on these libraries, which consists of mostly spin-offs and reboots of old shows and movies, putting those old shows and movies on their platform or making new and original content for us to enjoy. And number 5, there's now simultaneous same-day release to theaters and streaming services now that everything's opening back up. According to an article with Variety, back in 2020, over 60% of US theaters are closed, making it difficult for studios to justify keeping movies on a big screen without even a calculated plan B. Going back to our example from earlier, Disney Plus has premiere access for select films, meaning you can pay $30 extra to watch a film before its official release. Some of these films in the past have been Mulan and Raya and the Last Dragon. Coming soon as of this recording, we have Cruella and Black Widow, which Black Widow has a simultaneous release to Disney Plus and theaters on the same day. As theaters begin to open more and more, studios are faced with having to choose how they distribute and market their movies and shows going forward post-pandemic. At the time of recording this episode, the pandemic isn't going anywhere anytime soon, even with everything slowly opening back up. We've seen some changes studios have made in regards to the pandemic. Whether or not these changes will stay post-COVID will be the deciding factor. But either way, we can officially say that we've reached a new era with streaming services. This has been Pandemic Industries, and I'm your host, Jacob Head. Until next time, stay safe and take care.